Hi, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome back to another candidate for the Dragon Age Season 2 campaign. I am here with I'm Hell of Games, or simply Jess. Say hi to everybody,
Hello,
Jess.
hello everyone. Really excited to be here.
We're excited to have you here. It's
Yay.
going to be awesome to try to get to know you a little bit more for the interview today.
Yay.
So, we're going to dive right into the out of character questions, get right
Awesome.
into it. So, just the first question I want to ask you is, what is it about the Dragon Age universe that interests you?
Okay, well, I've always loved the medieval fantasy realm and exploration of it, and specifically Dragon Age. I grew up with like Zelda and Harry Potter and stuff like that. And when I came to Dragon Age, I'd never played a game before where you were like the main character. It wasn't just someone that the developers had created for you to play. And just having all the decisions and you knowing that you affect the world personally and all the interactions with your characters, the romances, all that kind of stuff was just really new to me and I loved it. And I couldn't wait for the second one to release because I played Origins a little bit after it came out and I just got hooked. I love elves, fantasy, magic, all that stuff. It's hard to keep me away from it.
I have a soft spot for elves too,
Yes.
especially considering how they are in the lower end of the spectrum
Yeah,
socially. That's what I love.
that's another really awesome thing about the Dragon Age universe is it's kind of like backwards in most medieval settings because like
Correct.
magic is viewed as scary and elves are viewed as lower class, not high up,
Right.
even though they used to be.
Exactly.
But it's
Yeah.
really awesome. Just really
I
cool.
enjoy that too. A little bit of a twist on maybe some of the classic Tolkien, for example,
Yeah.
lore. Okay, so question number two. What is it about tabletop gaming or role playing that interests you?
Oh, the storytelling, just all of the storytelling. I love seeing what other people can create and just come up with, like seeing other people interact and you just having an input in it. You can observe your surroundings. You can kind of just go up and interact with anything. Whereas, like when you're playing a video game, you're kind of limited to the things that you would can do or how you would exactly reply. Whereas in a role playing game, it's you, it's your character. You can say whatever you want technically, and things can go anyway. There's no like boundaries really, and I just think it's really awesome just seeing all the creativity that comes to the table and what comes out of it. The story, it's just fantastic.
Good answer. Okay. Why do you believe, Jess, that you would be a good person for others to play with?
I think I'd be a good person for others to play with because I really like interacting with other people, just hanging out with other people. I like problem solving. I've done a lot of like communications classes and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just think it's cool when people come together and make something out of it. I don't know, just like a whole campaign is like a story just made by these people who came together. I just think that's super awesome. Like you didn't have to write down a story and you're like write a novel or anything. You guys just made it happen. It's cool.
I like that answer. And I totally agree with you on that. That's the best part of it, I think, is the fact that it's a living, growing, evolving story. So I
Yeah.
totally agree with you on that. What do you believe is your biggest weakness as a player, and how do you plan on overcoming slash improving that weakness?
So I think my biggest weakness right now, because I've done some campaigns in the past, and I've tried to make like a character and their personality and stuff like that. And I think the main thing is just trying to, when you're thinking about a situation that your character is in, is trying to remain in that character's viewpoint instead of like thinking of how you would deal with the situation.
Hmm.
So how I tend to challenge myself in this respect because I'm trying to play a character that tends to think a lot before she speaks. So I want to play a character who kind of like knows what she wants to say rather than me thinking about it. I want it to be her. So I'm going to challenge myself, hopefully.
Okay. Very, very good. Awesome. And then the last question I thought was kind of a fun little question.
Mhm.
Pick any event or situation that took place in Dragon Age Season 1, and how would your character have handled that situation differently or similarly?
This was a hard one because I was like, I went back and I watched a lot of it too again. And really, like, I think the most pivotal thing, of course, was the ending. And
Mm.
I think maybe my character, just for the sake of, or just me, just for the sake of Ferelden and the way it was, to have gone back to the very original timeline. Just because the land got destroyed, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I just would have wanted to just see what would have happened if you gave those people a chance. But
Right.
it happened the way it happened. I mean, I'm not against it. There's just different ways it could have gone. I just think that's really cool.
We're gonna go right into the role playing. So this is how the scenario is going to be set up.
Okay.
Uh, so Jess selected to be interviewed by Jody. Jody right now is the wife of the Viscount, the wife of Viscount Sunworth in Kirkwall. So we're gonna hypothetically pretend that somehow Lithia gets wind of a new position that the Viscount is trying to hire, like maybe a court mage, similar to Vivienne.
Okay.
And let's say that the interviews are being conducted by Jody because she knows a little bit more about magic than Maximilian does.
Right.
So she, it might make sense for her to be the next Vivienne of Kirkwall, but she's too busy taking care of family that I don't think that would be something that she would be able to focus on. So basically, you are applying for this position, and you have an appointment with Miss Jody in Kirkwall, and we'll we'll just say that you are being brought into. It might be like an office of some sort. Think Seneschal Brand's
Okay.
office, and when you several of the guards will be escorting you there. It's quite well decorated, and Jody will actually be seated at a desk, but she will rise up as soon as she sees you, and she'll give you a warm smile. She's a fairly beloved lady of Kirkwall, and she will say, "Lithia, I presume."
I will say yes, Andarana Tishan, Jody.
"Such a pleasure," she says, and she walks up to you and she sort of cups your hand in both of hers to give it a bit of a shake. And she has, "Please have a seat, dear. I've been expecting you. Would you care for a drink, maybe some refreshments?"
She'll look around the room for a minute, and she'll just admire all that. She's never really been in a royal place like this, and she'll just kind of admire everything before she kind of just says, "Yeah, I would love a drink."
She says, "We have some tea, coffee, water, perhaps some juice."
Tea would be perfect.
She will ask one of the servants nearby to go fetch you probably a ginger elf fruit tea of some sort,
Mm,
which probably you probably are very familiar with yourself.
yum.
Um, she'll have a seat, and she says, "So Lithia, my dear, I hear that you are here for the mage position."
Yes, I heard about it. I'm not really from around here, but I've been wanting to get a position in the city and learn more about the people and see if I can help in any way after the
Mm,
devastation.
of course. Where exactly do you hail from? Where does your clan hail from? Ferelden?
My clan used to hail from north of Starkhaven in the Greendales.
I see. I see.
I've been apart from them for a while now.
Do you mind me asking why?
Let's just say I didn't really want the position as apprentice.
I see. She says, "I didn't mean to pry, dear. It's
Oh, no
just
worries.
it's very rare to see the Dalish leave their clan, and not only leave their clan but decide to live in a place like Kirkwall."
Well, wasn't exciting enough for me.
"My dear," she says, "I'm not sure if you'll find any excitement lately. There was quite a bit of excitement several years ago, but my husband has been trying very hard to keep the excitement, well, that type of excitement, as little as possible.
I understand.
But you never know," she says. We live in a world that can be very volatile at times, but I'm sure you know that firsthand."
Yes. I like to do whatever I can to stabilize it.
Jody eases back in her chair a little bit. She looks like she's probably haven't had that much sleep, and you probably might have heard that she has a child, and that might have kept her awake a few times or kept her really busy. But the tea is brought out to you. It's warm, and it has. This one has a little too much ginger than what you would probably appreciate, but
Right.
you can decide how polite you want to be.
So I'll sit back in the chair and kind of cozy it up, take
Okay.
a good smell, probably smell the ginger, nose
Hmm.
might twitch a bit. Take a good sip and mask it as best as I can to
Jody will ask, I hope you enjoy the tea. I think it's a recipe from your people.
oh yes, you're perfect.
She smiles. And she asks, so what exactly, you said you would want to help, Lithia. So what exactly do you believe you can contribute to the people of Kirkwall? What precisely is your skill set?
Well, I have magics not known quite to the circles, and magics that might help in perhaps repairing anything that needs repairing, or helping people that need healing, or anything that you need me to do. If you need me to go out and help people, I can do that.
Anything that I would need you to do. She claps her hands. Have you had any experience with children? Maybe not
uh,
necessarily your own, she says,
the little
but
ones. Um, um, I'd like to think that Lithia is actually quite fond of children. So
okay.
yeah. Yes, I've had quite a bit experience with children. We Dalish like to tell a lot of stories. It keeps them occupied for quite some time.
Well, if that's the case, she says, I might have a client for you that might give you a run for your money. He's quite a curious little boy, and he definitely does enjoy stories.
Oh yeah. What's this young man's name?
She says, it's Nathan, my son.
Oh, he must be a darling boy.
Well, he can be a bit of a handful, to be quite honest. He takes after his father. Well, I'd love him all the same.
I shall think he should be strong one day.
I'd like to believe so. What exactly. I thought I would ask you this because I just was very curious. Could you explain the biggest misconception that you believe people tend to have against your kind, against the Dalish?
I think they think we don't like humans, which isn't the case. We appreciate all walks of life, and we've always had a kind place in our heart for everything. And once a time before Arlathon, we used to live and coexist with humans. I think that can happen again.
That definitely is something that I have to admit I don't hear very often. It's a lot. There does seem to be a bit of animosity, in my experience at least, with
Unfortunately.
certain Dalish clans and the humans. Well, what then, as someone from the Dalish, what are your thoughts on the Circle of Magi?
Well, I think for those who seek it, it might be a good house for them, but those who are forced into it, I don't think they should be. But demons are a corruption, and there must be some sort of safeguard against it.
I think that's a very honest answer. My last question, Lithia, is what are your thoughts on blood magic?
I'm not a fan of blood magic. Most mages seek it for power, but being a mage, I think you have all the power you need. I don't agree with blood magic. It's wrong, and it it just drives the demons. There's no need for it. Hello, viewers. My name is Lithia Ashalla. I would love to be a part of this campaign because I can bring a lot from the Dalish point of view that most don't have. I think my view of the world might be a little bit different than most Dalish clans, but I think it might be a little bit more lighthearted. I observe things, I live at a distance, but it gives me a better understanding of the world, and I would love to share it with you.